September 23rd, 1968, 2:30 a.m., San Giovanni Rotondo Monastery. Padre Pio, dying, surrounded by his brother friars. His breathing is labored. His famous stigmata wounds are still bleeding after 50 years. Everyone expects him to say something holy, something peaceful. A prayer, maybe. But what comes out of his mouth instead freezes everyone in the room. He opens his eyes, looks directly at the youngest friar, and says 7 words that would be hidden by the Church for decades. They're lying to you about the Spirit. And what he revealed next will shatter everything you've been taught. Before we get to those final words, and trust me, you need to hear them. You have to understand something. Padre Pio wasn't just some mystic. He carried the wounds of Christ on his body for 50 years. He could read souls. He bilocated. He fought demons physically. The Vatican investigated him for decades because what he experienced was so extreme they didn't know what to do with him. And in those final hours, when most people drift into unconsciousness, Padre Pio became more lucid, more urgent, like he was being given one last chance to tell the truth before he crossed over. The friars in the room that night took notes. Those notes were locked in Vatican archives, but some of them leaked. And what they contain is absolutely explosive. Hit that subscribe button right now, because what I'm about to tell you is going to change how you see the Holy Spirit forever. Padre Pio's first shocking statement gasped out between labored breaths. The Holy Spirit is not a feeling, not an emotion, not a warm, fuzzy experience you get during praise and worship. That's not Him. That's you, feeling yourself. The friars were stunned. This was Padre Pio, the most mystical man in the Catholic Church, telling them that most spiritual experiences people chase are fake. Self-generated emotion, psychological phenomena, not the actual Holy Spirit. One of them asked, "But Father, how do we know when it's really Him?" And Padre Pio's answer was terrifying. When He comes, you don't feel warm. You feel terror, real terror, because you're in the presence of the same power that created galaxies, the same Spirit who hovered over chaos and spoke worlds into existence. When He actually shows up, your first instinct is to run. That's how you know it's real. Now Padre Pio said something that made the friars uncomfortable, something the Vatican absolutely did not want published. They don't teach you about His power anymore. They talk about His gifts, tongues, prophecy, healing. But they don't tell you about His transforming power, because that power threatens religious systems. The Holy Spirit doesn't make you a better Catholic. He makes you dangerous. He makes you unable to accept lies, unable to stay quiet when the Church compromises, unable to play along with empty ritual. That's why they domesticated Him, turned Him into a doctrine to memorize instead of a force to encounter. Because if Christians actually experienced the Spirit's power, they wouldn't need the religious bureaucracy anymore. The youngest friar, brave enough to ask, said, "Are you saying the Church is wrong?" Padre Pio's eyes blazed, even in his dying state. "I'm saying the Church is afraid of what happens when ordinary people access the same power the apostles had. Easier to control people through rules and rituals than to unleash them with the Spirit's fire." And here's where it gets even crazier, because Padre Pio revealed why the Church fears this so much. Struggling to breathe now, Padre Pio told them the secret the Church has been hiding for centuries. When the Holy Spirit truly fills someone, they stop needing human mediators. They can hear God directly. They can be transformed directly. They can access power directly. That's what happened at Pentecost. Ordinary, uneducated fishermen suddenly speaking with authority that made religious leaders furious. Why? Because the Spirit bypassed the entire religious system. Every revival in history, every genuine move of God, has been the Spirit breaking out of the institutional boxes the Church tries to keep him in. And every time, the religious establishment tries to shut it down, control it, sanitize it. He coughed, blood speckling his lips, but kept going. The charismatics are closest to the truth, but even they make mistakes. They think the gifts are the point. They're not. The gifts are just evidence. The point is transformation. The Spirit doesn't come to give you supernatural abilities like you're collecting Pokemon. He comes to remake you, kill your old self, resurrect something new. And that process, it's violent, it's painful, it feels like death, because it is death. Death to your ego, your control, your carefully constructed religious image. Most people don't want that. They want the gifts without the transformation, the power without the death. But Padre Pio is about to reveal why that's impossible. Now Padre Pio's breathing became even more labored. The friars thought he might be finished, but he grabbed the youngest one's hand with surprising strength and pulled him close. Listen carefully. This is what they won't tell you. What I learned in 50 years of carrying these wounds. The Holy Spirit is not safe. He's not tame. He's not a divine butler who serves your agenda. He's the wild, dangerous, unpredictable power of God Himself. When you truly surrender to Him, really surrender, not the fake surrender you sing about in worship songs, He will wreck your life, destroy your plans, ruin your comfort, take everything you think you need and burn it. Because He loves you too much to leave you as you are, the friar asked, trembling. Then, it's now past 3 a.m. Padre Pio is fading fast. The friars think he's said everything. But then, with his very last burst of energy, he sits up partially and says the words that would be suppressed by church officials for years. The Holy Spirit told me something about what's coming. Everyone leans in. He said, the church will go through fire, not metaphorical fire, real persecution, real suffering, and most Catholics will fall away because their faith is ritual, not relationship, religion, not reality. But a remnant will remain, those who actually know the Spirit, not know about Him, know Him, and they will be the ones who carry the faith through the darkness. You must teach people to pursue Him, not religious experiences, not supernatural gifts, not emotional highs. Him, the actual person of the Holy Spirit. Because in the trials coming, only those who have His power will survive, and I mean survive spiritually. Keep faith when everything collapses. His final words, barely whispered, Stop playing church. Start walking in the Spirit, or you won't make it through what's ahead. And then he died. September 23rd, 1968. 3:17 a.m. The friars in the room were shaken to their core, and the Vatican locked those notes away, because Padre Pio had just validated every charismatic movement, every Pentecostal revival, every dangerous expression of Spirit-filled Christianity that the institution had been trying to control. He had exposed the lie. The comfortable, safe, controllable version of the Holy Spirit that gets preached in most churches is not the real thing. The real Holy Spirit is terrifying, transforming, and utterly beyond human control. So, what do you do with this information? First, and I'm serious about this, you need to ask yourself, have I ever actually encountered the Holy Spirit? Or have I just experienced religious emotions I called the Spirit? Second, are you ready for what genuine encounter means? Because if Padre Pio is right, and his 50 years of stigmata suggest he knew what he was talking about, then really opening yourself to the Spirit means your comfortable Christian life ends today. Third, the warning he gave about the church going through fire? Look around. We might already be in it. Persecution, apostasy, confusion, compromise. And if you're running on ritual instead of relationship, you're not going to make it. Here's what you do right now. Stop this video. Get somewhere quiet and pray differently than you've ever prayed before. Don't ask for things. Don't recite memorized prayers. Don't perform. Just breathe and say, Holy Spirit, I'm done pretending. I'm done with fake religion. I want you, the real you, even if it destroys everything I think I know, even if it terrifies me. Come. And then, shut up and wait and see what happens. If you're brave enough to do this, comment below, I'm ready, and let's see how many of us are actually willing to pursue